Anxiety. One of the most common faced conditions in the world today, and especially at this time, where there's already so much uncertainty and everything happening and rules changing and everything just going to complete hell in a matter of minutes, hours, days. In this video, we're going to take a look at steps that you can do to overcome it. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Rob Murphy from Holistic Healing Choices, and let's jump into this video. So anxiety, what is it? What causes anxiety? Now it can be said at a very basic standpoint that anxiety is a fear of the future. Our mind's running around wild about events that may or may not even happen. It's running wild at the possibility that something might go wrong, or at least not go to plan. That's at the very basic level. It can take many forms for many reasons. Now you might be anxious about your job, you might be anxious about going on a first date, you might be anxious about school, you might be anxious about very lot of things. And that's only the basic sort of stuff there. Like you can have anxiety about specific things as well on that and in that, and you might not even know why you're facing this anxiety. It may just come to you naturally, unfortunately. But it is fair to say in most cases that anxiety is on a pressure to perform or be seen or be doing something. And on top of that anxiety, a lot of other negative emotional stress can come from that. So we're feeling anxious because we don't believe that we're good enough. So we feel guilty about not preparing something or not doing something or not being better or whatever the case may be at what we're supposed to be going to and what that anxiety is related to. So while we can think about and freak out about all of these things, we become a slave to our own mind with all the wild and weird ideas that it conjures up for us. Now the biggest thing to remember here is that it's not real, or at least not yet. We're not in that event, we're only got the anxiety because of that event. So while we can think about all the things that could go wrong, or that we believe might go wrong, why do we hardly ever think about those things and then actually think about what we can do about them? So, the first step is a little thing called actions on. So, our actions on, now if you spent any time in the military, this will be pretty familiar to you. So in the military, we have a part in our orders that has our actions on. So you get your mission, you get all your topography and everything else that you're going to be doing during that mission, and then you have the actions on. Now these are for everything else that may happen during that time. So you'll have actions on sighting the enemy and them not sighting you, the enemy sighting you or initiating contact, even up to lost, on ambush, on vehicle breakdown, on separated, whole bunch of different scenarios so that you can mentally prepare and rehearse and have your standard operating procedures or SOPs in place to be able to deal with any of these things should they arise. Because in the military, probably unlike going to work or going to school or whatever you're facing anxiety about, it's pretty well heightened in that situation where there could be little lead wasps flying past your head at any given moment if you do something wrong. So you're going to need to have basic things in place that are almost like muscle memory to be able to deal with that situation. So we're going to use this now in terms of anything. So let's take, for instance, you're having an anxiety attack about giving a presentation at work. So what are some of the main things that are going to cause you that stress? So one of the main things that everybody worries about is stuffing up or making a fool of yourself there. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make a fool of yourself, but it's how you're going to handle that reaction. So stuffing up might mean that you mispronounce some words or something like that. And that can cause you to freeze and have that mental blank and go blah, blah, blah. So what you're going to do there then is, how are you going to deal with that? How am I going to handle misspelling or saying some words? And people might laugh and snicker and whatever else. So how am I going to handle this situation? Well, maybe one thing you could do is laugh it off yourself. Imagine how you can do that. It might mean, there you go, where it might mean that you just have to stop, correct yourself and just smile and carry on from where you were. And that's a pretty big skill in itself if you're able to do that. It might mean that you just have a laugh at yourself and do some little funny facial gestures and get everybody on side rather than laughing at you, they're now laughing with you. So, stuffing up. Another thing now with the computers and everything everywhere, I mean this can go for school things as well, is your presentation might fail. The electricity might go out, the computer might glitch out, which is quite common really. I mean, let's be honest, how many times the computers glitch out and do things that they're not supposed to do, right when you need them to do things that you think that they're supposed to do. How are you going to handle that? Are you going to have something prepared that you can just do orally or with hand gestures, or even little flyers or pamphlets or something you can hand out to do that? So there we've eliminated two of probably the most common ones. Then the other most common one probably is actually presenting itself. So this is a big one for a lot of people, is actually standing there being looked at and watched and everything by all these people. So what are you going to do to be better at that? Practice is a good one. Practice in front of a camera, in front of the mirror, in front of friends, family, anything, to get your timing, your pacing and everything else right. If you're meant to be giving a presentation for 50 minutes, you don't want to jam all that into 20 minutes and then have 30 minutes of questions or whatever it may be to make up that time. And it also allows you to highlight or get some feedback too from someone else or something on how to make it better. So you're already getting and preparing and making that mental plan on how that can go better. So switching gears a little bit, let's go to a first date. So what are some of the things there that you might want actions on is a no-show, or probably another big one is rejection. So what are you going to do there? Well, one thing, they're not even brave enough to meet you or to see you for who you are in that situation. So why is it your problem? That fear of rejection that a lot of people get worked up about is that I'm not good enough. So how can I turn the situation around to make it feel as though I am good enough? Another one is too, there you've got your stuffing up and making a fool of yourself and not being able to make conversation. We're in the digital age where you can do a bit of research or have a little bit of a look on. There's so much information on how to make a first date or whatever better. How to win someone else's heart, or not going into any of that stuff, but get these ideas. Text the person, or if it's a blind date, that's even worse, but have some stuff prepared so that when things get awkward and a bit silent and you're not quite sure because you're freaking out, what if I say the wrong thing? Roll with it. People are going to be more perceptive and accepted of you if you're showing that you want some and put some effort into it. Not just showing up thinking, oh God, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing. Do more. What more can you do on that first date? And already mentally rehearse those things. So the biggest takeaway from this is to, whatever that situation is that you're having anxiety about, create actions on. This is only a very brief example for time purposes, but you should have a whole list. Even if you want to get that into it, actions on aliens coming down and abducting you or whatever. Having and preparing mentally, and well, maybe sometimes physically as well, those things will actually go a long way into calming your nerves about, that's the thing that I was worried about most and now I've got it nutted out. If that happens, then this, then this. So it really becomes like an if then else statement. If I screw up, then I laugh at myself, else, I don't know, I just go with the flow. So one of those things, so putting all of those things down. Now research a bit on that too, what could possibly go wrong in that situation. Now this one won't work if you don't know what you're anxious about, but give it a go anyway and you might be surprised with what you come up with as to what is causing your anxiety. The next biggest and best thing that you could possibly do is visualization. Now I know this goes without saying, but visualizing yourself into that event, once again thinking about what could go wrong and what you can do about it. Visualizing it going perfectly. Because too, now we're talking about the law of attraction and stuff and bringing that into you. There's that famous thing about the basketballers where they had one lot do nothing at all, one lot actually shooting hoops, one lot visualizing that perfect swish every time. Now this is like visualizing that perfect swish, while they weren't as good as the guys actually doing it. They are only slightly worse. Very, very slightly. So visualization of that process, of that event, can go a long, long way into your success, into it as well as calming any nerves, because you've already done it thousands of times mentally. But in that too, you can use your actions on, if that shot bounces off the rim, what am I going to do? Where am I going to be? Where am I going to need to do to rectify that situation? So it goes a long way, that visualization process, into being able to help calm and ease any nerves that you have. So why wouldn't you give it a try? Why wouldn't you visualize that performance going well, that presentation absolutely killing it? And the thing is, one of the most important things is to not be afraid to ask questions too. Ask questions at the event, during the event, and even after it, on what could I have done better? Any questions from the floor on anything I may have missed, or anything that you've got a burning question for. Even ask, like, if it's a sports performance, like the basketball thing, ask someone, what could I do better? A lot of anxiety comes from our fear of messing up, being rejected, being not good enough, which at the end of the day is absolute garbage. How can you think that you'll ever get better or lessen this anxiety if you're afraid to ask questions about how you could be better, or could do, or perform, or whatever on the situation? It's a double-edged sword, this anxiety. So part of it is having the resilience and, that intestinal fortitude to actually speak up and ask about the situation. Now, if it's something that's not a performance-based thing, can be a little bit more difficult. If it's more so anxiety going to school about being bullied, what steps could you do there? Take a martial arts class. Now, I'm not saying so you can beat them up, but there you've got the skills, or you can develop the skills to look after yourself in that way. I'm big on martial arts. I've done it since I was a child and I absolutely love it. And it's helped me with more than just bullies. Helped me with resilience, mindset, determination, going after things, and just, whole host of other things that I would be nothing without having been put into martial arts as a kid. But in that as well, you can start to plan, use your actions on, your visualizations of where you can go, what can be different. Can I come up with any funny lines? How can I get these kids to leave me alone? Can I outsmart them? Can I outdo them in some other aspect? And go from there. List all the possible things, the scenarios that could go wrong, and then I want you to list a scenario in which you turn it around and you solve that situation. It doesn't have to be perfect, and it most likely won't be. In the heat of the moment, things can change, but you've always got that little backup thing saying, how can I turn this in my favour? And that's a little bit about how I, at least, deal with anxiety or situations that may cause anxiety. I always change my mindset as well. So it's not about how, they're going to judge me. It's about how can I show these people how good I am and my level of knowledge on this subject. How can I change it around, so rather than saying, okay, I just want to get this done and out of the way, it's me showing how good I can actually be at this. But anyway, guys, I hope you're able to take something away from this. I hope this actually helps. The whole purpose of this video is to just give you a little bit more, another little few tools on how to be able to deal with that anxiety. That's it from me, guys. So leave some comments down below on what you think of these strategies. And remember to please like, comment, share and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.